Hi, listen, welcome again to another opportunity to step another step further and closer to that healthy relationship. Listen, I know we both want it. Everybody wants to have a wonderful relationships because that's why we pursue love, because it is exciting to be in love. But today I want to share some things to you that I believe that's going to be very helpful today and another step in that journey. Let's talk today about transparency. Transparency. Let me ask you this question. Does your loved one know you? Do they really know you? Like what goes on within your heart? Listen, it is important that in our relationships we have transparency. Listen, I know it's very sensitive. It's a sensitive topic because oftentimes we feel like I can't really share what's on my mind. And deep down inside, if we really be honest with ourselves, a lot of us, our hearts are filled with so many anguishes and frustrations and aggravations and even sometimes unforgiveness. And, the Bible says you have to be careful because any root of bitterness springing within you will defile you. But today I want to give you 5 tips for building a transparent relationship. Now, why should we have transparent relationships? Is because the more we practice transparency, the more trust in our relationship is built. And the more that there's trust in our relationship that's built, the more intimacy and love that will flourish and be fostered in your relationship. So these are important. See, if you want to have that romance, if you want to have that fire come back into your relationship, it begins with developing trust, and trust begins with developing transparency. So today, we want to give you 5 tips to help you being more transparent. Let's begin. That's right. Share everything. I know that this is very difficult for us to understand, but let me explain. Remember that the more that anything that you withhold from your partner, anything that you withhold from your partner will eventually become a problem at some point or another. So it's important for us to realize that also the more that we withhold from our partner, the more difficult it is for them to trust us. That means the more difficult it is for them to trust you. It is important for you to understand that transparency is key. And the first part of transparency is to be able to share everything. Now, if there are any details of your life that involves anything outside of your partner, it is important to make sure that these details are minimized. We don't want to explain details because sometimes the whole premise or the whole reason behind what we do and how we are is lost when we give too much detail. It's not important the detail. It is the spirit of honesty and the spirit of being genuine, the spirit of being open is more important than the letter of each detail. So share everything. Let's get to point number 2. Tip number 2, openly expressing thoughts and feelings. Listen, being transparent is more than just sharing information about day-to-day activities. It also means sharing your heart and your soul as well. What do I mean by that? See, when you share what you think, what you feel, and even your motives behind some of your plans. Why do you want to buy that house? Why do you want to buy that car? Why do you want to do what you want to do, whether it go for a promotion? Why do you feel frustrated? When you start to share those things with your partner, what it does, it helps to create an environment where trust can once again blossom. See, also, another benefit to sharing your thoughts and feelings is that when you do that, what happens, it also reduces mistrust, suspicions, and fears. So share your thoughts and your feelings. Okay, now point number 3. Point number 2 raised a very interesting problem, is that sometimes in relationships there are suspicions. So point number 3 is to use suspicions to work on problem areas. Listen, in order to develop healthy relationships, we must be able to sit down and to discuss even things that we are suspicious about. Because sometimes suspicions can point to a problem, or sometimes suspicions can be unfounded. But it is better to deal with them and to discuss them openly versus keep them inside and allow them to fester to something greater than what it really is. Because remember, suspicions are not always justified and they're not always right. But we can use suspicion to target areas of weakness, reflecting more on what we really want to have in our relationship. So you must carefully sit down with your partner and express your suspicions and talk about what you both can do to work out those troubled areas. Now, I want to share this thing with you. If either of you or if both of you have been unfaithful, or if there's infidelity in any form in the relationship, then suspicions, even going afterwards, are natural. They are normal. These are things that will come up in your spirit and in your life. But even those things, you must share your feelings in those areas of suspicion so that your partner and you can develop more trust with each other. Because when you share those feelings, like, today I was feeling a little weak. Today I was feeling and remembering on what happened in our lives, and I just need you. Because oftentimes what suspicion does, it also highlights our own desires from within of what we want. So we may feel insecure, but ultimately what we really want is for someone to tell us that they love us and that they're committed to us. So listen, use suspicions to work out troubled areas. Tip number 4, to develop a no lies policy. That's right, to speak the truth. Listen, you must vow to yourself today that you will no longer lie anymore at all, that you will speak the truth. See, you take on this vow because you are trying to raise the personal standards and character of the person that you are. And see, when a person tells an untruth, when a person is not real with their partner, what happens is that you show that you are not one to be trusted. And if you're not one to be trusted, then you are definitely not one to be loved. But if you want love, you want to develop love, trust, intimacy through honesty. This will build trust in you, because if you make a mistake, you will quickly admit to that mistake. Now listen, I know we think that we're perfect and we're good, but all of us make mistakes. And so if when you make a mistake, you confess that mistake and then you do what is necessary to change your mistake, or to live up to the standards of the person that you say that you are, what this does, it develops better character and it develops integrity and trust with your spouse. Because if you lie and withhold truth from your partner, if you lie and withhold truth, then the quality of person that you are or will be diminished. But if you want that person to be loved, you must first tell the truth. And now tip number 5, never shut out your partner. Do not exclude your partner from any parts of your life. You must always work to keep the lines of communication open and free as much as they can be. Now, I know that there are times where we or you and your partner may have a disagreement. And so don't use that as an excuse to separate yourself from each other, because sometimes you may disagree because one or the other one may be tired, they may be frustrated, they may have a lack of patience for the moment, they may have other things on their mind, they may not want to talk for the moment. But you know what? Don't just use that as an excuse to not talk, but choose at that moment to just say, okay, fine. When can we talk? Because the object here is to maintain an open, honest, and transparent relationship. So remember, never shut out your partner. Okay, well, there you go. Those are the 5 tips to help you to develop transparency in your relationship. So let's recap them. Tip number 1, share everything. Tip number 2, openly express thoughts and feelings. Tip number 3, use suspicions to target problem areas. Tip number 4, vow never to lie. Tip number 5, never shut out your partner. The idea in using these 5 transparency building blocks is to help rebuild what has been damaged in your relationship. It is important that if you do these 5 tips, you will help to maintain a path for happiness, fulfillment, contentment, and a love that will last a lifetime. So now it's up to you. Why don't you today choose to love? God bless you.